this is Sharon Dudley with the Beach Living team at North Beach Realty. This is our first episode of Wine Wednesday and the Whys of Real Estate. We're here with Rachel Pitts from U.S. Mortgage, the singing lender. Welcome.
Thank you.
And Leah from the Beach Living team. And we're just going to ask Rachel some questions about the mortgage end of real estate. Go ahead, ladies, take it over.
Why should you get pre-qualified?
That's the $1 million question. So everybody out there who's watching this is probably out there scrolling on Zillow and finding their dream home, and a lot of times people don't get pre-qualified before they A, find the home, or B, start talking to you guys to shop for the house. To get pre-qualified is the most important step in the home buying process because you need to know how much you can afford. And sometimes you can afford more than you think, and there are just a ton of factors involved in what it takes to be qualified to buy a home. Of course, your credit score needs to be good. We need to see what your income is. We need to make sure that your debt to income, which we'll talk about in a little bit, is in line, and we need to make sure that all of the ducks are in a row so that you can afford the home that you want.
Next question we have is how important is that debt-to-income ratio so you can qualify?
Right. Debt to income is kind of takes people off guard sometimes when we pull the credit. And here's one point about getting your credit pulled. Most people are terrified, and that's why one reason that home buyers are afraid to talk to lenders, because they're afraid their credit is going to be ruined when we do a hard pull. We do a hard pull, we a lot of times get a different number than Credit Karma. We see everything, and suddenly we see all of your debts, and we get your debt to income ratio, which is all your debts compared to your income, debt to income. So it comes up with a percentage, and you really want to try to be somewhere like 43% is like primo if you can, or like 35, 43% debt to income. A lot of times we see people with a little more than 50 or so. So that gets a little troublesome, but you know, once we see it, we can take a look and make adjustments if needed. Or I'm not a credit counselor, but we can kind of give you a little bit of advice of what we've seen in the past might help get that debt to income in line. Or you may have to wait, yeah. And a lot of times people think that they need to pay off a credit card all the way. You don't necessarily have to pay it off all the way, you just have to get some of those balances down. I see a lot of young people, first-time home buyers, that have a lot of school debt, and those school debts end up being a whole bunch of separate different charges. You might want to look into, if you have school debt, try to consolidate some of that debt, and it might end up being a lower payment for you too, as well as consolidate that debt and improve your debt to income. That comes up a lot, as well as any medical bills. And you know, just a little advice from my personal life: if you have any medical bills that are leaning on you hard, just pay a little teeny bit instead of let it go to collections, because we see a lot of that in people's credit reports too, that they have these medical bills that just are strangling them. They just don't pay it. It goes to collections. It has a really negative effect on your credit. You just pay a little bit, like 10 or 20 bucks a month. That's just what I've experienced in my life. Not credit counseling, but what I have experienced. Yeah.
Thanks. Okay, so Rachel, what should you not do after you've been pre-approved?
Okay, so here's a big one. So let me just first give you the difference between pre-qualify and pre-approved. So when you come to me and speak to me the first time, we'll pre-qualify you based on your basics, your income, your debt to income, your credit score, and all the things going on, and say, hey, you can go out with Sharon and find a home for a maximum of $250,000, let's say. So then once you find the house and we're moving into pre-approval because we've identified the property, this is when it's crucial. Do not, and I repeat, do not open any more credit cards. And that includes, don't go, if you're at JCPenney and they're going to give you 20% off if you open a new credit card, do not do this, because it throws your debt to income out of whack, and especially if you're kind of like borderline, can create really big problems. Also, don't do I have some very close personal friends that were close to their closing, and they thought, let's go get our washer dryer so that when we close in a few days, then it'll be ready to be delivered. So we're talking like the nice ones with the front load, like a couple $1,000s worth of washer dryer, and boom, threw everything way off. So don't buy a car. I've had borrowers before buy their car the day after closing. So don't buy a car, don't buy washer dryer, no more credit cards, and also really don't even go upgrade your phone and start a new payment plan. An iPhone is close to $1,000 right now. So an iPhone, that's a really important one that people might miss. So just be careful with changing any major payments. And the best thing you can do is, once you start your pre-approval process and you're under contract especially, just call me. Just call your lender, text me, say, hey, they're offering me $20 off at JCPenney if I open this card, would that be okay? Like, that's the best way to make sure you don't run into any problems.
Great.
Okay, so how are rates? That is the question that everyone always asks, kind of like people ask you, Sharon, how's the market, right? So your interest rate is it's not one simple number. I will say that today, the day of this broadcast, rates are incredibly low, historically low, and it is a great time to get a mortgage. It's also a great time to refinance. So if you purchased a home with Sharon in the last few years and you want to take a look at bringing your payment down and putting a little extra money in your pocket each month, then refinancing is good. So your rate depends on a few things. Number one, are you buying a primary residence? Are you buying a second home? Are you buying an investment property? Are you buying a condo? Are you buying a manufactured home? And what is your credit score? How is that debt to income? All of those factors are really, really important because it shifts what the rate will be. When you look out there and you see advertising on certain perhaps online sites saying, oh, we can get you a rate of like 3.2%, then that may be so that you can achieve that, but sometimes there's a buy down involved, there's all kinds of factors, and that may be the best execution that's being represented. You can see some things, rate sheets that'll say today's best execution is for a 30-year FHA loan, that's another factor. Is it a 30-year loan? Is it a 15-year loan? Is it a VA loan? Is it an FHA loan? Is it a conventional loan? All these things have an effect on what the credit score will be, but you might see the best execution for a 30-year FHA loan might be 3.5% today, but it shifts around. So that's why it's really important to talk to me as well, so you can find out what's the best execution for you and your scenario and what you're trying to achieve.
Awesome.
Great.
Thank you so much, Rachel, for coming in. We really appreciate it so much for doing our first Whys of Real Estate on Wine Wednesday. We are actually here at the Grumpy Monk, and if you want to learn any more about this great restaurant here in North Myrtle Beach, just watch my stroll on Friday, Sharon Strolls the Seashore. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you all about the restaurant on Friday, but again, girls, thanks for coming in and doing our first Whys of Real Estate.
You're here.
You can find us on beachlivingteam.com, or you can give us a call, 843-231-4825, and we will see you next week. We'll be doing this on a regular monthly basis, and next month we're going to be meeting with an inspector and tell you why you have to get an inspection of your home before you actually close. So I'll see you Friday for another episode of Sharon Strolls the Seashore, and you'll see us next month on Wine Wednesday and Whys of Real Estate. Bye guys, have a great week.